Welcome into Talladega Superspeedway, and welcome in everybody here to Ghost Racing Network, where we are back returning for Tuesday Night Thunder, Race 3 here of Season 2. Jacob Emery and company broadcasting the last two races did a heck of a job, but we're here tonight to get right back down to business. And these guys got a lot of stuff to prove early in the season. Still going to be a lot of money at the end of the season, but to get there, you got to make sure that you have a good chance at that championship battle. As the fun grows each week, I think we're going to see the racing pick up. So I think it's going to be a little bit more calm here at the start of the season. But hey, payouts through each race is certainly not going to help these guys simmer down, that's for sure. Let's get right down trackside, get started with your race info at Talladega Superspeedway here. This season we are changing up, going to a couple different tracks, but we are at the Bad Fast Talladega Superspeedway, 2.65 miles in length, 117 degrees starting out track temp tonight. That could prove a little bit of a challenge, of course, race 3. And we are in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, something a little different than what we saw last season, of course, in the Xfinity Series. Going to be 60 laps here tonight. There will be a stage break on lap 21, and that's when the caution will fly. So 20 coming to 21. 100% fuel for all these guys. Unlimited tires, one fast repair. And, of course, it is fixed setups. Weather outside, 65 degrees Fahrenheit, 29% humidity, partly cloudy skies, and winds at 2 miles an hour. That is going to be the thing that certainly doesn't give any of these guys any trouble. How about your starting grid tonight? The man that's going to get the pole, Dale Cup making their return, starting out strong. Zachary Lima in the 4 truck takes it. Ken McCall Jr. is going to be starting to his outside. He leads the outside row on pole. Steve Korsak third. He's got one of his ex-teammates, NBG Motorsports, Cody Nagels, to his outside and fourth. Jeff Merck starts fifth. Gabe Butler, the final Dale Cup teammate tonight, starting in sixth. Sean Hill and David Sheets make up row 8. It's going to be John Ellis Jr. and Mike Davenport rounding out your top 10. How about looking back in 11th? A McCall Motorsports driver. That's John Mullihan with a very fast Jeremy Osborne to his outside in 12th. J.R. Miller in 13th. Has a couple win in the PGR Intimidator Super Speedway Series. We'll see what he can do tonight. Brandon Broadfoot in 14th. David Drohan 15th. Danny Barnes in 16th. Ryan Baste for Clutch Gaming Team starts 17th. It's going to be Bobby Forbes in 18th. Garrett Maines and Daniel Eberhardt, the man who came out of retirement, he's going to be starting in 20th, and he's going to be very dangerous. Keep an eye on him tonight. Jason Maines, Dylan Jones, that's a pair of teammates making up row 11. John Ward 23rd. It's going to be Brock Westmoreland in 24th. Andrew Cesanto in 25th. Chad Ross to his outside in 26th. Christopher McCall in 27th. Logan York in 28th. Ambrose Kniebel starts in 30th. Matt Martin was to his inside in 29th. Ron Morris Jr., the series owner, starts in 31st. Another McCall Motorsports driver, and then to his outside is going to be Alejandro Montes Diaca in the 30 truck. And how about Mark Vondell in the 59? McCall Motorsports going to be the caboose of the field here tonight. 33 trucks for the third race of the season. Not looking too bad. These guys are getting ready to bring the Thunder to life as we get ready to take the green flag. 60 laps, it's a pretty long ways, but that stage break is certainly going to shorten it up. Or at least it certainly is going to feel that way, and I think we're going to see some racing going there. One of the things we're not 100% sure yet, as we do take a look at your pollster Zachary Lima, is if there's any extra payouts during that stage break. We'll take a look at it, but we do know there's going to be top 5 payouts, and they're going to be pretty sweet tonight with this 30-truck field. Pace cars getting ready to pull off. Got a lot to talk about tonight as well, looking at points, a bunch of other things. John Ellis Jr. ran strong here last season. Keep an eye on him as well. Ken McCall Jr. and a couple of his teammates, they just came off a hot streak from a race just before this. We'll see what they can get going here tonight. Working their way through the tribal, looking for the green flag. They're going to get it. We are racing here in race 3, season 2 of Tuesday Night Thunder. Here we go. Zachary Lima off to a good jump. Ken McCall Jr. on the outside. They're going to stay side by side as they cross the line the first time. No 3-wide rule here in the Tuesday Night Thunder Series. I think that is really going to entice some 3-wide racing here early. You see Sean Hill in the 77. He already moves up to that middle line. He is waiting to see if he can get any teammates. He knows he's got Cody Nagels just separated by one truck. That is Gabe Butler, one of the Dale Cup teammates. But further back, the rest of the field going to slowly get things sorted out. Garrett Maines, Jason Maines potentially even. We know these guys are going to try to make a charge to the front here at some point. From what we saw last season, even when there was nothing on the line for a stage break, these guys were still going for it from the drop of the green. Danny Barnes here has a good shot to go to the front if he works with Garrett Maines here. But I think Garrett Maines is getting ready to leave that 7 truck to dry. Going to teach him a hard lesson here early. Meanwhile, up front, Sean Hill in the 77 found a way behind his teammate Cody Nagels. We'll see if they're looking 3 wide here in the tribal. But how about it? Lap 1, Zachary Lima getting pushed by Ken McCall Jr. And at the line, he's going to lead it. Cody Nagels, though, got the outside work, and Sean Hill, you knew that move was coming. And, in fact, they got all 3 of their teammates as Jeff Merck was up there pushing just like that. We have a lead change. Cody Nagels drops right in front of Lima, and then he's going to move all the way down to get in front of Steve Korsak. That opens it up to Sean Hill. Cody Nagels is going to do a little lane swap in here, getting a nice little feel for it early on. And you got to be real careful here if you're NBG Motorsports. I know the ideal position here would probably be if they could somehow get all 3 lanes clogged up. They're going to try it. Sean Hill, it's not going to work. He goes down in the middle of the pack. This is going to be a big wreck here early on. They're trying to save it up front. Korsek back up the track into JR Miller. They're still wrecking. Ken McCall Jr.'s in it. The 78 of Ryan Baste. And that is an early mistake, guys, just being a little too aggressive. And we still got a mess over here in turns 3 and 4. Debris everywhere. Looks like the 1 truck is in it. That's Jason Maines just in front of him, the 17, Bobby Forbes. In his first season here of Tuesday Night Thunder, he's involved. Looks like Mark Vondell, David Drowan might have snuck by, but we got a bunch more still in this thing. Steve Korsek's got pretty heavy damage on the front end, the 10 truck as well. Brock Westmoreland. It's going to be a fast pair for Steve for sure, maybe Brock. Let's go back and take a look what happens here, although it looked pretty cut and dry. It looks like NBG was doing, you know, I was just getting ready to note if they could get all of their guys up front and, you know, control all 3 lanes, it's a really good position to be in. You feel really confident. You're kind of forcing guys to have to try to go to that 4th lane. And just as they about had it, I think Sean Hill maybe gets a little too greedy with it here, tries to take it a little bit too early. And Zachary Lima and his team, they're not going to play into those games right now. If they feel like they're there, they're not going to let off. It's kind of a game of respect between these guys, and they're going to try to establish it early. And keep an eye here. You'll see Cody Nagels. Ooh. Initially, I thought Cody jumped down. He may have got a little bit of an offset push from Zachary Lima that sent him down. And then Sean Hill, that looks a little different. From that view, it's hard to tell. We'll have to go to the cockpit probably, but it's hard to tell if his teammate maybe gave him a little bit of an offset shove, or if he was trying to go down there. Let's see if we can maybe let's take a look on the cockpit view. This might give us a better indication. Watch the wheel here. No, that kind of looks like he was trying to throw a little bit of block there, and it just doesn't work. Zachary Lima was already there. He gives him a little tap. It did not take much at all. Show it for you for the chopper view again. There's the move, Cody Nagels. He may have gotten a little bit of a bad shove, but then once Sean Hill tries to jump down, he doesn't really get all the way down. He's only about halfway there. And when Lima taps him on the left, it looks like he tries to jump up, and he just kind of can't quite hang on to it, loses it. And he comes down the 55. Mike Davenport, he's going to spin, and then look at the rest of the pack here piling in. It's a mess. 27 and Steve Korsek back up into JR Miller, who had nowhere to go. Looks like the 22. I believe that's Brandon Broadfoot. He was in that as well. Let's take a look from TV follow on this. See if we can't get a better idea. Some things to happen here. Gabe Butler looks like he got involved. Zachary Lima, he's definitely going to have some damage. They tried to hold on to it as long as they could. Ken McCall Jr., we noted in it. It was actually the 73 of Ryan Baste. And Kara Maines, no surprise there. He finds a way to sneak by on the bottom just as he always does. And I thought he was going to work on getting to the front, but he played a little more conservative, and it looks like it works out. Let's take one more ride on board here, and let's do it with Garrett Maines for the onboard shot here, because I think he's got a pretty cool view of it. Here we go. Yeah, man. This guy's one of the best at it, and you can see why Downshift's still working his way through it. My goodness, finally has to go in the grass, does a little drifting to make sure he keeps it everybody, but he does so. And first caution of the night falls on only lap 2 here. Guys just trying to be a little too aggressive. I think some people are going to have to learn some hard lessons from this. And it's early on in the schedule here and of the season in general. So everybody's still kind of getting a feel for each other, but they've all raced together before. No mistake there. And Sean Hill has some front end damage right there. You can see it there. Jeff Merck just behind him. Let's take a look, though, at your top 5 as they run right now. It's going to be Cody Nagels leading the way for NBG Motorsports. Jeff Merck currently sits in 2nd. Andrew Zanto, he's got a pretty good run here off the start. I think that caution helped him because he's up 22 from where he started. Sean Hill sits 4th. Christopher McCall in 5th. Why don't we go back a little farther where you'll find Matt Martin. He currently sits in 6th. Alejandro Montes de Oca in 7th. David Sheets 8th. Ryan Baste 9th. And it's going to be John Ward. Rounds out your top 10. One of the things I want to note here tonight, you probably notice, is we don't have all the things set up yet for these guys here. Again, first race back for me tonight was trying to get everything kind of going, if you will. And, you know, we had to make a tower. We had to make logos that we see here. And I got to give Jacob Emery and them a ton of credit. They did, again, a marvelous job last week and the week before. I mean, the things I saw on that broadcast blows what we do over here, at least, out of the water. Make sure you give those guys some love. Check them out. Doing a heck of a job. But either way, the point was still setting up tower and some other things, paint schemes, team names. So you're not going to see the complete package like you might see over at PGR or some of the other series we do here tonight. We should have it more and hopefully completely set up by next week, but definitely the week after. And then, of course, that overlay will be set to go for the rest of the season. Speaking of set to go, though, 5 of 60 laps here. That's going to put us, but we're going to take the green with 6 laps into this thing. So 15 laps to go here in stage 1. We'll see who can get the job here. It looks like we had some chats earlier. Chris Carter thought it was canceled. Thomas Parker says no, 31 cars. It's starting out, and absolutely pointing that fact out again. 31 trucks here. Already almost doubling the numbers that we saw most of last season. These guys really liked what they saw, and I think the biggest thing holding a lot of people back was that joining mid-season really hurts your chances, but getting in here early, get yourself a shot at some money, and hey, each race has their own payouts. We'll see what happens here tonight. BB says, hello everyone, good to see you back in here, BB. Hope you're having a good night. Chris Carter, all the block, and they got booted. Can't keep killing the air and expect a good push. Hello, up to the booth, love your streams, keep it up. I want to check them out. They're calling road races for sure. Absolutely doing a heck of a job. Hey, shout out owner Bryce, Ghost Racing Network. Got an email today. Finally got enough, well, I guess, watch time and subs. He's going to be able to apply for the YouTube partnership program. And that means that we will now have memberships that you can join for Ghost Racing Network, along with super thanks, donations that you can make live in the chat on YouTube. Really excited for that. Hoping that the application's accepted. We'll see what happens. Logan's joining in, and you picked a good time to do so. We're getting ready to bring the fireworks back to life here. Cody Nagels, Jeff Merck, row 1. Sean Hill, Andrew Cesanto, row 2. Green flag back in the air. Watch for Christopher McCall on the inside. 3rd row as well. We'll see what he can make happen. Good start here. I think we might see 2 wide for only about a lap or so. But now that NBG's up front, you got to ask yourself who is going to be the fire starter and really get that 3rd lane going. This is the opportunity for some of these guys maybe don't have the big teams. Look at Matt Martin, Andrew Cesanto. I think those two, give yourself a shot here. Work together before you see the Dale Cup boys getting up there. And Steve Korsak, he's on the move. Looks like Christopher McCall still on the inside, but I think that's Ken McCall Jr. who's going to jump up. Might have been John Ward. Can't tell from that view. Looking at it from the rear chase view, Ambrose Kniebel giving a little sponsorship to Alejandro Monteseta. That's one of the funniest paint schemes I think I've seen in a while, looking off the hood. But either way, back up front, we're going to get right to it. 3 wide action. Here comes the top line. How about David Sheets? Ooh, Jeff Merck thought about a block. He's going to get split 4 wide through the trial. Now Sean Hill's going to work up, gets in front of Cody Nagels, and these two might try to hop up, shuffle out Andrew Cesanto, help out their teammate Jeff Merck. Things are getting really, really tight as they squeeze their way across the start-finish line. Somehow, some way they make it work, but it's only going to work for so long. More contact. We're going to wreck again here. This time it's going to be Christopher McCall, Jeff Merck. Can the rest of the field stay out of it? Still wrecking. Oh, Ambrose Kniebel sliding down the track. Looks like Jeremy Osborne's going to get involved. Dylan Jones. There's Jason Maines again. Matt Martin, and yet again, just looks like a late block going wrong here. Second caution here tonight falls on lap 7. Definitely off to a sloppy start, to say the least. Let's go back and take a look at what happens here, and I believe this is going to be Jeff Merck. Maybe throwing a little bit too egregious. This one wasn't so much of a block as I think it was maybe him trying to get back in line. Let's see if we can get a better angle here. Actually, I take it back. I don't think this was Jeff Merck. This was... Let's just slow this down here and see if we can't get a good idea first of what we think happens here. It may have been Jeff Merck. You saw he was kind of in that awkward spot being put 4 wide. So far, so good. A couple... Oh. They just kind of get into each other there. That's Andrew Cesanto and Jeff Merck in the 60. See if we can't... Let's take a look at the chase cam and see... Maybe does somebody come up here? Does somebody come down? It was hard to tell from that view. Keep an eye on the white lines here. Andrew Cesanto rocking the Ghost Racing Network logo on the back. And Jeff Merck looks like he's still pretty close to the white line, and ooh, yeah, Jeff Merck just kind of starts to come off of it. Things start to really squeeze and tighten up as they enter the corner, and he gets down into Andrew. And Andrew starts to slightly ping pong, gets a little bit behind on his steering, back up into Jeff Merck, and at a certain point, he's just not going to be able to hold on to it anymore, and this is where the wrecking's going to get started. The rest of the field here sees it up ahead. They're not all going to be able to check up. Jeff Merck takes a pretty hard hit into the outside wall. Can John Mullahan sneak by here? He dives high and picks the wrong lane, committed up top, but unfortunately that's where Ambrose Kniebel was. Further back, John Ellis Jr. looks like he might slide in up top. He's still trying to miss it. And you got guys here still flying in. And actually, John Ellis Jr., I think, was able to get woed up in time. Dylan Jones, Gabe Butler, all guys that I don't think really got damage. Just had to go through the grass to miss any significant contact. Let's take a couple more looks at it. This is from further back. You see the wreck happening up front. A little bit of a secondary wreck there. Looks like the 11 of Matt Martin gets into the outside wall. We'll go back up here to Jeff Merck, the primary incident. Take a look at the cockpit. Oh man, Ambrose Knievel, that's a tough break for him as well. He had absolutely nowhere to go right there. Looking at it from the blimp cam, it's just how messy it gets. 2 more views of it here. We'll take 1 more from the TV follow cam. The contact's already been made here. Back it up 1 more time. And Chris Carter says netcode can't get close. Nobody's fault. Take 1 more view of it here before I say anything. But I'm going to have to disagree. That looks like some contact right there. But again, nobody's fault really on this one. Nobody doing anything. And the Jeff Merck blocking, that was not what I thought. I thought initially it was him trying to slide up in line. Certainly wasn't. Jeff Merck doing nothing wrong there, really. Neither was Andrew Santo. They kind of come together there 4 wide. Gets really tight in these corners here and just couldn't quite make it work. So back up front, that puts David Sheets out in the lead. Should be getting the 1 to go signal next time. John Ward in second. Excuse me, John Ward in second. Steve Korsak third. Sean Hill in fourth. And it's going to be Cody Nagels currently rounding out your top 5. Garrett Maines, he's found his way back up here. He's still got a clean truck. Sean Hill has got some damage on that 77 machine. Still running pretty good, at least for now. We'll see how long that lasts. And as we take the 1 to go signal, let's back this up just a little bit. Was 73 at fault? The 73 was not at fault. Derek just started with the 60 of Jeff Merck, and I believe it's the 06 of Andrew Cesanto. A couple 06s in the field tonight. Ryan Bass did not have any issues or any involvement, at least, in causing that wreck, that's for sure. We're going to take just a quick little break here. We got to do a couple things to update some of the scoring loops, but we will be right back before we go green this next lap. Stick with us. Front, now we're going to see a little 4 wide action.
Crazy out of the triangle.
Oh, he gets in the lead on the wreck.
3 by 3 entering 4.
3 deep. At the flag stand, side by side, it's going to be Jason Maines winning it at Talladega. Back live at Talladega Superspeedway for the Tuesday Night Thunder Season 2 Series. 2 teammates up front, followed by 2 ex-teammates. Well, not really 2 ex-teammates. Sean Hill, Steve Korsak, they have certainly had their run-ins, though. Garrett Maines just behind. Boy, he's had a pretty eventful night so far, but he's still making it work. And we know he likes to be aggressive. Watch for him to maybe think about shooting it up the middle, trying to split these guys. And that's one of the things where the outside line, you really got to be careful, and you cannot get caught sleeping. We don't see it happen too often with the veterans, but some of the rookies, you try to follow that guy up high, and if you leave the middle open, you're going to get passed, and you are going to not be too happy about it. Here we go. Pace car is going to pull off. Still going to have 10 laps to go here before we complete stage 1 tonight. 10 of 60 laps completed. What can John Ward do? You know Sean Hill's going to push, but you got to wonder how long does he push before he thinks about 3 wide. He's got a teammate behind him. We'll see what they decide to do. Green flag is back in the air. Everybody's going to get these things cranked back up. Usually it takes about a lap or so to really get up to full speed. But how about it? We bring up the dashboard as they're still side by side here. Sean Hill, I think he's going to stay behind John Ward here at least for just a minute, because there's not really any momentum in the outside line, but actually they're going to leave him here, duck out as they jump low. David Sheets goes high to assist his teammate. So now McCall Motorsports 1-2 on the top line. Steve Korsak working with Garrett Maines, one of the Coke Series drivers on the bottom. Oh man, not sure if Steve wanted to go up or Garrett maybe gave him just a little bit too much of a push. Didn't look like Garrett was trying to do anything intentional as he actually tried to stick with him there. Oh, we got another wreck here. Can they save it this time? They're still trying to hold on, and no, we can't. Going across into the pits, they're still trying to hang on. We had one go out of sight. Not sure where that ends up, but it looks like coming back on the track. That is Ryan Bass. Boy, he did a heck of a job hanging on. Couldn't tell who that was that went down the pits. Oh, man, David Drohan, tough break. Doesn't bring out the second caution. We'll take a look at it in just a minute. Let's go back up front, though, as it's now a little bit more of a 4-truck breakaway, 2-on-2 tandem. You got 2 NBG Motorsports drivers on the outside, so you know that means the 2 on the inside are thinking about working together. Garrett Maines awaits a push from Steve Korsak. And, you know, don't get me wrong, Steve easily still one of the best out here when you talk about it. But one of the things, you know, me and Baker, we talk about it a lot during the PGR broadcast, but that you've noticed with this new package is some of the guys that were really the best of the best and dominant, they're still really good, but certain things like, you know, you'd see Steve Korsak, he was one of those guys that he was only one of the few that when he pushed you, you knew you'd go to the front and he'd keep you to the front. Little different now. Steve can't quite work the art, the skill that it took to push as much as these things push a lot simpler now. So while he still does a job holding a steady wheel and giving everything he's got to Garrett Maines, it's not quite the same as it was. It's a lot easier to hold on for that truck in front. The main difference is, though, we see a lot more pushing throughout the corners now. But up top, third lane, it's gotten going. David Sheets is pushing John Ellis Jr. They got John Mullihan tailing behind, and Steve Korsak's going to move right up to the middle, leaves Garrett Maines just as we were talking about him. And I think that's going to be Danny Barnes sitting on the bottom trying to catch this little group. Sean Hill moves down to the bottom. We'll see how well this works out for the 77. He's got some pretty good front end damage. Cody Nagels makes his way to the back bumper of John Ellis Jr. is going to give him a little bump. Going to be coming to 7 laps to go in stage 1 this time if we can keep it together. And while they stay through wide up front, we're going to try to take a quick peek at this last incident here if we can. And watch it from the TV follow cam. Ryan Bass, actually quite a few guys involved in this one. Couldn't tell exactly where it starts. Ooh, John Ward, Ryan Bass, too much pushing going on there. You can't really push the pusher. David Sheets, wicked save over 45 degrees sideways, holds on. Ryan Bass does a good job. I think David Drohan might have even hung on without hitting the wall. Not 100% sure on that, though. But up front, they're still sticking 3 wide. John Ellis Jr. is getting all he can handle right now in that middle line. You see the back end fishtailing around. Usually able to hold on to that in the straightaways. The problem is when that happens in the corner. But right now, I'm impressed with the 77 of Sean Hill making the bottom work as he now jumps up to the middle line in front of John Ellis Jr. You know he's punching a much bigger hole in the air than Garrett Maines' truck or David Sheets is. But right now, it seems to be okay. You got to wonder if John Ellis Jr. is okay with pushing him for too long and how long that line can work. Up top, the 2 teammates. In fact, how about making 3 teammates? John Ward sits in that line as well. They're going to drag along a couple more trucks. I believe that might have been Logan York. He's having a heck of a run here tonight so far in the 0-2 machine. We'll see if he can cap this thing off, potentially look for his first win of the season. I think at this rate, I'll tell you what we've seen tonight, 4 wide is definitely looking like an option. Up front, there's been a lot of lane changing. David Sheets, not so much. I think if he can get clear at this point, he would certainly like to drop either to the middle or bottom, let his teammate John Mullihan get some clean air. But the mind games, it's really what it comes down to, and we talk about them all the time. At a certain point, when these guys get stacked up 3 wide long enough, it just becomes trying to make the guy on the lane below you run his temps hotter, and once you think he's run them hot enough, that's when you make your move. That's really all you can do as the pusher, especially when you find yourselves boxed in. You got a truck in front and behind, but so far tonight when we've had the green racing, we haven't skipped a beat in terms of just like any other money racing. These guys know there's money on the line tonight, and if you can get yourself a win, it's kind of a double bonus. Not only do you win the most money here tonight, but you're putting yourself further towards the front in that championship battle. John Ellis Jr. is going to drop to the bottom. Watch for Cody Nagels to follow in suit. Sure enough, he does. Little mirror driving going on out of the 6 truck right now. Now, we know John Mullihan is aggressive, and he looked like he was thinking about 4 wide there, but I think he was actually just tucking out. You wouldn't expect that kind of move on his teammate, and if you're trying to get the oil temps down, that's what you got to do. You got to tuck the right side out, but they must have overworked those 3 trucks on the outside just a little bit too much, because just like that, they're going to fall all the way back and have to tuck in line here. The pack regrouped after what we had was almost a near caution here. Somehow everybody held on. We'll see if they can do so. 4 more laps. Oh, man, Cody Nagels got a big shove from John Ellis Jr. Shoves him right up to the middle and out of the way. Steve Korsak up top with his teammate Zachary Lima, who still has a lot of damage. Andrew Cesanto is trying to push those guys as well. We know 3-truck tandem works down the straightaway. It's a little risky in the corner, and I am seeing some guys really try to make it work here. But the two teammates lined up back on the bottom, John Ellis Jr. and Garrett Maines. You got to know that those two aren't going to go anywhere. Garrett Maines is just going to try to maintain those temps for now. Gives him a little push down into turn 3. And just as I say that, he actually is going to jump to the top. John Ellis Jr. is going to try to follow. They might be setting themselves up for the winning move here for stage 1. Got a lap truck going to get out of the way. That's David Drohan, the one involved in that near caution that almost got into the inside wall. Maybe even did. We saw him going down pit road before he got back up to speed. How long can these guys make it last the way they're going? Starting to wonder if we're going to make it all the way to the white flag here in stage 1. Steve Korsak has the option to drop low right now. He sees Danny Barnes in his mirror. Might be waiting to see if that line is going to get a run. Logan York just behind, but he's going to wait a little too long. Garrett Maines going to stick to the middle. Zachary Lima up top. Andrew Santa really needs to make sure he does a good job of pushing here, but not too good of a job. You don't want to accidentally turn the truck in front of you. And there it is. Steve Korsak was really pushing Garrett Maines. I think Garrett might have been trying to cool off a little bit there. Steve Korsak wasn't having any of it. Back down into turn 3. Oh, man, they're getting a little wiggly here. Danny Barnes, that's going to open the door. He's got a big run on the bottom. Look at the run from the 7. Logan York's going to try to get Danny Barnes clear of the lead as we're going to be coming to 2 to go. How big of a stage win would this be for Danny Barnes if he can get it done? These guys got to keep it together. The Tribal's a really sketchy spot, and you know what I'm seeing out of those bottom 2? 2 of the more, not rookies, but guys that, you know, they don't have these big teams to work with, and when that's the case, usually the bottom's your best bet. They're sticking with it, but man, Logan York is pushing Danny Barnes with all he's got. Garrett Maines is gearing up for a final run. I think he's going to save what he's got for the final lap here, so don't look for him to push just yet. 3 wide coming up on a lap car. This is always going to get a little bit dangerous when we do something like this. And honestly, it looks like Danny Barnes may have had a little right front damage, but he's making it work because they're all going to go 4 wide around the lapper. And they're going to make it work with no issue. Sean Hill fade back just a little bit. John Ward decided if he wants to go with his teammate or ex-teammate. Drops down to the middle behind Sean Hill. And up right now, I think it's all these top 2 lanes. I think the bottom maybe used up their stuff just a little bit too much in terms of temp. Logan York, he's going to find out the hard way here if he's not careful. Garrett Maines is going to continue to shove John Ellis Jr. with all he's got. Final lap in stage 1. Who is going to get it here? Don't look to see either of these top 2 lanes drop down. They're trying to hold each other up, and the best way to do so is for John Ellis Jr. to get a side draft off of Steve Korsak because he's got a lot of momentum cranking. Zachary Lima's going to continue to try to push, but now the bottom lane's trying to fight back a little bit more. One more lap truck to contend with before we're going to finish this thing in a short shoot down the straightaway for stage 1. Who wants it the most? Garrett Maines, he backs off a little bit there. He might be saving for that final push. Sure enough, he's going to back up to Cody Nagels. Watch for the big run and the big momentum here out of the 1 truck off of 4. Cody Nagels gets to his back bumper. One more push. Final gas dash to the line here. Now we're going to see 4 wide. John Ward jumps to the top line. He gets help from the 30 truck. But into the travel, they might have to dive to the bottom here. The outside's not going to have enough. They might wreck here. They do. Wreck it, but up front, John Ellis Jr. is going to win it on stage 1, but there's a big wreck behind. And we're going to tear up a bunch of trucks again. About 100 yards or so, and they would have been fine, but they couldn't quite make it happen. 4 wide, sometimes you've got to expect that to happen. And 3rd caution of the night, but this one was scheduled, I guess, technically. Not sure if the caution actually flew before we took it or not. Either way, John Ellis Jr. is going to be your stage winner. Play this slow here. John Ward tucks. Ooh. Cody Nagels, that almost looked like some odd-looking net code from that perspective. Doesn't look like there's anybody actually touching him. Let's go to the chopper. And we're going to get a better shot of this here. Watch the 6 of Cody Nagels sitting 3rd truck. I don't think he's going to get... No, he doesn't. Not sure if he was just moving down a little bit or if he got a little bit loose from the dirty air or what happens, but the net code's actually going to come from the 0-2 of Logan York. They never make any contact here. You'll see there was never any contact there. That turns Cody Nagels down. They try to save it, but once he gets back into Danny Barnes, that turns Danny Barnes back up the track. He gets into Zachary Lima. Steve Korsak's the last one to escape. Up into Andrew Cessanto. Looks like John Ward with nowhere to go. Sean Hill's going to get involved in this. He thought he was sneaking by. John Mullahan gets a little bit of contact. Is that David Sheets trying to sneak through? He clips him. We'll see if he can hold on to this, or is that going to be a big hit? No, he does. So I think Cody Nagels and Andrew Cessanto probably got the worst out of it. A couple more views of it here. How about from the restart cam? That's a tough break, but netcode's still a thing that we're seeing, and certainly saw it right there. Let's see if we can find Cody Nagels and take a ride on board with them. So he took a pretty big impact there on that outside safer barrier. And you'll see it here. He's going to get down just a little bit. In fact, play it slow until the contact kind of starts. Watch his hands here. Yeah, just that net coat turns the truck left, and after that, there's just absolutely nothing he can do. Give you one final look of it here. How about from the flag stand? Flagman got a pretty good view of it here. So they're racing it down to the wire. And this is only for stage one. The way these guys have been racing so far, I can't imagine what to expect here when this thing's all said and done and we're coming to the checkered flag. And as I keep saying, stage one, of course, there is only one stage in the race. Man, Gabe Butler, you see him back there all torn up. Now, we know a lot of these guys, well, I should say all of these guys, of course, started with one fast spare, but at this point, you got to expect a lot of them have probably lost it. And we may have some trucks retiring after that wreck. One of the guys that's really not caught a break yet, or unless he's just playing some strategy, but very unlike of him, and that's going to be Mr. Daniel Eberhardt. Finds himself on pit road. He's got a clean truck, but we're used to talking about this guy being the one to start 3 and 4 wide action. Haven't seen it tonight, but he might have known that the chaos was going to ensue here early, and he's just playing it safe. Or in that case, he might have been one of the trucks involved in that incident that kind of had split up that pack. Either way, he finds himself currently sitting back half of the field, in fact, in 18th position. Still a decent ways to go, though, so he's got plenty of time to make that up. Got to believe there's not too much concern for the 90 truck up front. Jeff Merck, NBG, they've led quite a few laps tonight, and now Jeff Merck's going to be leading them back to green. Steve Korsak second, Garrett Maines third, John Ellis Jr. in fourth, and John Mullahan currently sits and rounds out your top 5. Well, what I want to pull up here before we go any farther is I want to do a little talking about what we're expecting for the payouts potentially here for tonight, and maybe talk about the season points, if you will, just a little bit. A couple things changing here through the season. Next place we're going to head, well, we actually have an off week, potentially 2 off weeks coming up. Stay tuned for more info before we head to New Atlanta in the Truck Series. That's going to be a fun one for sure. And then after that, we're going to head back to Daytona, followed by Talladega, and then we alternate between the two. So payouts were based off 25 entries, and this is what they would have looked like. 100 to first, 100 to second, 75 to third, 60 to fourth, and 40 to fifth. You got to factor in that we had 33 trucks tonight, so those payouts are just going to go up even higher. And then extra money after that, because of course there is going to be more with the total entry fee. That goes in the championship purse, which at the end of the season is going to be on the line. Last season we saw Jason Maines take it home $500. And then plus that big championship purse for, I believe it was the top 16 being eligible for the actual race. And that certainly kept things exciting, to say the least. I want to go down here and see if we could maybe find the points. Not really seeing anything with it just yet, but your leader in the 2 races that we've had so far, hey, no surprise here. Looks like it's going to be John Ellis Jr., Sean Hill second, Cody Nagels third, Gabe Butler fourth, Matthew Baker rounding out your top 5, although he's not here tonight. Ken McCall Jr. sixth, Andrew Cesanto seventh, David Sheets eighth, Jason Maines ninth, last season's champion, and David Drohan, maybe the dark horse in there, rounding out your top 10 currently in points. But again, long ways to go. The cut line right now, Ryan Bass just inside, Dylan Jones just outside. And as these guys gear up to get back to green flag racing here, it's looking like it is going to be 37 laps when we take the green. Desperation time at a lot of tracks, we like to call it 25 to go. I think here at Talladega, maybe creeping a little bit more towards that 15 to go mark, maybe even a little less. You got plenty of time, but as competitive as these fields always are, you don't want to find yourself towards the back or anywhere near the back with probably 25 to go. Track position is so important, and the way this race has trended so far tonight, you hope it changes, but cautions certainly look pretty likely the rest of the way, and we're going to have a lot of beat-up trucks by the time this thing's all said and done. We'll see what happens here. Jeff Merck on the inside, Steve Korsak on the outside. Row 2, how about it? You got a Coke Series driver and his teammate, John Ellis Jr., Garrett Maines, and John Mullahan. John Ward, row 3, green flag back in the air. Good start for the first 3 rows. A little bit of a struggle with J.R. Miller and Jeremy Osborne. They can't get through the gears quite as nicely. Dead even draw, and this is that period of the race. You know, I'd like to say maybe we'll settle in just a little bit. Not sure whether or not we will, though. Staying 2x2 here out of turn 2, and normally we'd save this later on, but before these guys get too crazy, the series is called Tuesday Night Thunder, so how about we get a little thundering noise here with the Crank It Up segment. Here we go. And that's going to do it for tonight's segment of Crank It Up. I hope everybody did enjoy up front. No surprises here. Steve Korsak leads the way. Jeff Merck on the outside. A little bit of a late block there by Steve Korsak, but he makes it work. Jeff Merck snugs on tight to the back bumper. It's just when you think everybody's ready to settle down. Steve Korsak, he's one of them. He knows just how important track position is, and he's going to try to maintain it the rest of the way. Now, what we're seeing a little bit here is a split in the pack. Of course, some of this is due to damage, but I think some of this is by design. You got a little bit of 4 trucks here sitting back a little bit. Looks like Ken McCall Jr. is in that. Jason Maines, Jeremy Osborne. And just ahead of him, it's going to be Brock Westmoreland. And then after that, the second pack, they're starting to catch back up, so not sure. Maybe it wasn't so much by design, but they have been split pretty far back. Chad Ross trying to hold on to this lead group. Sean Hill, Mark Vondell, Christopher McCall, a couple of the guys in it. They're still 2x2 up front, so Chad Ross, the last car in touch with that lead draft. And then behind them, it's going to be Bobby Forbes. And it looks like Danny Barnes, who Bobby Forbes is not on the lead lap. Danny Barnes is. Those two work together, and they are way behind the pack. And then Cody Nagels, not sure if he's out of fast repairs for the night or what, but he is sitting all by himself. In fact, the truck looks pretty clean. In fact, let's look at the dashboard. Speeds certainly seem to be okay, but more than anything, he's going to need a break here. He should be the lucky dog, though, depending on if he can hold on to that position. We'll have to see what happens here. Back up front, though, you see the pack is starting to track him down. And you can see they've taken a little bit of a different approach. At a certain point, every driver's mindset starts to become the same with they get tired of wrecking. A lot of these guys without the fast repair, they don't quite want to race as aggressive as they might have been earlier. And we are just about almost halfway there, so still quite a bit of time. And if you get wrecked at this point, even if you do have a fast repair, you got to start in the back. It's just going to be really hard to get back to the front. Chris Carter had said back on that last wreck, big one, we might have 10 left. I could agree. By the end of this thing, we certainly might. Dustin Carruthers, Mullihan going to get it done tonight. Wouldn't be surprised either. McCall Motorsports showing a lot of strength so far. Larry B says, Austin, you are the man. Well, I'm not sure for what, but I certainly appreciate it, Larry. Logan says, sorry, I did come up. You may have, Logan, but you never actually made contact, at least from this view. It was a little bit of net code. And Cody had came down a little bit, so just one of those racing incidents. And Donaldo Adams says, come on, Mert. And they're going to go by their NBG Motorsports teammate of Cody Nagels. He's going to have to find himself a spot to drop it in line. I was just going to say, we saw the third lane start to get going. I thought maybe it faded out, but it's going to get going again. Jason Maines and Zachary Lima going to try to catch everybody off guard here. Maybe get the 2 inside lines sleeping a little bit. But they're going to need to get a third truck here. They're going to need to get one soon. Are they going to do it? Sure enough, they are. Looks like they're going to get a little bit of help here from Alejandro Montes de Oca. And just like that, we're back to 3-wide racing. You can see so far giving each other a lot of room. It always is kind of interesting how as each lap goes on, you'll notice these guys start to tighten down a little bit more and more. That top line is trying to force that inside line down, and an inside line is trying to keep that top line as high up as they can so they can cool down if needed. Further back, looks like one of the McCall Motorsports drivers got in a little scuffle here, almost some contact. And that was John Ward, might have been with Sean Hill, but him and his teammate Cody Nagels, Sean Hill that is, they're going to try to get back to the front here and maybe get Cody Nagels his lap back the hard way. The problem is a lot of traffic to do so, and they're going to have to create a 4th lane if they really want to get all the way to the front. David Sheets and Mike Davenport, they're going to hop to the outside. Mike Davenport in that beautiful silver and black 55 PGR Team PGR Blaster paint scheme. Of course, the PGR Intimidator Superspeedway Series runs every Thursday night. It'll be back this Thursday. Matthew Baker, my co-host, joins me in the booth for it. Don't miss out. And just like that, the lead's going to switch hands now to Zachary Lima and Jeff Merck. Leads the bottom, and Steve Korsak Lima. That is probably the most iconic and most chemistry-filled duo that you're going to find in the field. Those two being together is about as dangerous as you can get, but Zachary Lima's kind of due for a win. So is Steve Korsak. They've been so dominant with the old package. And as fun as the new package is, I feel like it did partially even things out a little bit. And while these guys continue to find new little tips and tricks on how to be a little bit faster than the rest of the competition, certainly not quite the domination that we had seen from that power duo in the old package. How about a little run through your order here? We're going to keep all the action out front, but we're going to try to talk about some of these guys going down. Your current leader is Zachary Lima. Had an up and down night, been involved in a wreck, had to use the fast repair to be involved in a couple wrecks. But here he is leading that middle line. He's got his teammate Steve Korsak just behind him. Steve's had a pretty good night, been able to miss a couple of the big wrecks. And then how about it? Jeff Merck for NBG Motorsports. Just when his teammates have had a little bit of bad luck tonight, he's on the opposite side of it. Good luck and leading the bottom. And actually, we're going to see Zachary Lima drop down, so I take that back. Garrett Maines currently finds himself in 4th position. Just behind him, John Ellis Jr. in 5th, and John Mullihan 6th. J.R. Miller 7th, David Sheets 8th. It's going to be Brandon Broadfoot in 9th. Alejandro Montes Diaca currently rounds out top 10. Ken McCall Jr. in 11th, Jeremy Osborne 12th, Mike Davenport 13th, Ryan Baste in 14th, Sean Hill 15th, John Ward in 16th, Dylan Jones 17th. It's going to be Logan York 18th, Andrew Zonto 19th, Daniel Eberhardt. Hey, there he is. We talked about him earlier. He's starting to try to creep his way back up slowly but surely. He is up to 19th position and continuing to move as he's going to get locked up with his wingman there, Dylan Jones. Andrew Zonto in 20th, Mark Vondell 21st. So we keep the action all up front. Moving on back to 22nd, Christopher McCall, Brock Westmoreland 23rd, Matt Martin 24th, Chad Ross 25th, David Johan 26th, Jason Means 27th, Ambrose Knebel 28th, Danny Barnes 29th, Bobby Forbes 30th, Cody Nagels 31st, Gabe Butler 32nd, and Ron Morris Jr. might have been doing race control tonight because he is not actually racing in the field from what it looks like. Dustin Carruthers says maybe you'd see some five wide. Hey, we saw it the other night. That could certainly be a possibility here tonight. I don't remember what series it was that I saw it in. The point was it didn't end well. We'll see how it's going to play out tonight. But you notice that while we're still seeing a lot of jockeying for position up front, we see a little bit of 3 wide, but it's mostly these lanes kind of making a charge. And if it doesn't work, they fall all the way to the back is what we're seeing right here from Sean Hill. And it looks like he's working with maybe McCall Motorsports and Company here. But yeah, him and John Ward, they're just not going to be able to make too much progress unless they can get another truck up. Not sure if Sean Hill still has his damage or not. It didn't seem like it was affecting him too bad earlier, but he's been in another wreck since then, that wreck coming to the line. So in fact, let's see if we can't get a little bit of a look at it here. Yeah, it looks like he has used his one and only fast repair. So you know that truck's got the speed. They're just going to need a little bit more help, either a truck behind or in front. We'll see if it works. Now I want to pause here on Garrett Maines for a second. And I know most people know this, but I meant to bring it up the last couple weeks when I was watching Garrett. Coolest story that I've ever heard in iRacing, at least in iRacing, if maybe not one of the coolest things I've just heard in general. We know that he's a Coke Series driver. We know he's one of the best of the best. Certainly a fan favorite, always rooting Garrett on when we see the Coke races. But I believe it was his sponsor showed up one night, and in his driveway was I believe it was a brand new, again, don't want to quote anything. Either way, it was a Gen 6 NASCAR Cup Series car with a full, I believe it was a Roush engine in it. Absolute beast, had his paint scheme on it, his name on it. Again, one of the coolest things I've ever seen. I believe he had plans to take it to the track in the future. We'll be keeping an eye on that story as Garrett Maines, just as good as he is on track virtually. We know he's got talent, plenty of it off track as well, man. We'll see if he can get a win tonight. Add some more money, maybe put it towards that stock car that he's got now in real life. Steve Korosek back to the lead in the middle. David Sheets up top, and these guys are toying with 4 wide. In fact, they're going to do it. And it's only going to work for so long. Big checkups on the bottom. Now we're going to see guys swerve to miss it. Look like Ken McCall Jr. and a couple other guys all of a sudden stacked up as that 4 wide didn't work for too long. Dylan Jones was in the middle of that mix. And they're still getting things sorted out. Ambrose Knebel's going to fade back. He's not too big of a fan of what he's seeing up front. As we hit 25 laps to go, action's starting to pick back up. The high-speed chess match, and that's what they call it for a reason, because it seems like just as you make a step forward, you can find yourself 2 steps back that quick. Justin says it was FEG, I think. I don't think it was 5 wide that wrecked us. No, it wasn't, but you certainly had went 5 wide for a minute in that travel. That's a good spot to do it. Craziest thing I've seen. Dustin, we saw that you almost got the win the other night. Things didn't quite work out, but you're getting close, man. Keep at it. Waiting for the 10 machine to find himself in victory lane. Up front, the 2 teammates take back the lead. Garrett Maines, John Ellis Jr. Now, Cody Nagels, you see him sitting second on that outside line. That's not his actual running position. What he'd like to do here is get his lap back the hard way, and to do so, he's going to have to pick off another position or so. I think he'd probably drop to the bottom, but he's going to race these leaders just as if he was on the lead lap because, well, it's kind of what he's fighting for at this point. As they work their way through 1 and 2, how about the 30 of Alejandro Montes Diaca? I believe he might have got sponsored here tonight, at least according to the paint scheme by Ambrose Knebel tonight, and he's making the most of his opportunity. We'll see if he can get a win. Ambrose Knebel, speaking of, one of the fan favorites. Every time we get a Friday night interview, you know it's going to be a good one from Ambrose Knebel, but he's having a decent night. Currently sitting back a little bit farther in this pack than he'd probably like to be, but still quite a bit of time to go. We'll see. I think maybe he makes his move late on in the going. Speaking of that position, actually, I take that back. Looks like he was at least sitting back in this lead pack. He's had a little bit of issues here. He's got to be careful. He might lose the lead pack. Unfortunately, he does not find himself on the lead lap. It's not looking like. Currently sits in 28th, and while he's up 2 from where he started, and he is currently sitting a lap down and not in lucky dog position, so he would have to get a wave around. Now, the good thing is, on 100% fuel, which is what all these guys started with, actually, now hold that thought just a second now. 100% fuel in these trucks, I don't believe that is good to go. Now, in the Xfinity cars, it was a little different. We always talked about they didn't have to worry about it. We went back green with somewhere probably, let's call it conservative. Let's say even if it was 35 laps to go. And at that point, these guys can't make it on fuel. The longest they can probably go is 32 to 33 laps. And I know I didn't bring it up to this point, but we are very well potentially going to see a green flag stop as Cody Nagle's currently back in position to get, well, not really get the lap back because he's back on the lead lap. We'll see if he can hold it, though, when the caution comes out. Back to the bottom is Dylan Jones, Daniel Eberhardt. They're going to try to get something going up top, and knowing that there is supposedly still going to be a pit stop in store, even at that 100% fuel, I'm surprised to see these guys going at it that much, but who is going to strike first on pit lane? Dylan Jones drops back down the middle. A lot of Dyson going around right now. Man, these guys were bobbing and weaving for just a minute. We got one blinking. Logan York's going to find himself to the outside. He's trying to drop back down the line. Dylan Jones goes to the bottom. So sure enough, Dustin Carruthers says Ambrose needs a Miller Lite sponsorship. And you know what? I'm surprised that's not set in stone. You will find that guy in just about every money race you can think of. And Miller Lite would make some money off of him. John Ellis Jr. continues to push Garrett Maines as it looks like Bryce is also hopped in Discord. Says, excuse me, the Discord, the YouTube channel. Says, y'all see the announcement in Discord. Of course, Bryce being the owner. Let everyone know earlier. Yellow flag back in the air, so we're going to hold that thought as Bryce lets everyone know. We got a caution. This is trouble further back. I'm not sure if this was in the... Oh, Mark Vondell with heavy front end damage. Not sure where he got this, but it's certainly not what he wanted to get. See if we can't see it here from the rear chase. Oh, man, the front end of that thing is completely destroyed. In fact, you see it sitting over there on the infield. The AMR safety team's going to have to go pick that up before we can go back green. Alrighty here, let's take a look. Looks like we had at least a handful of trucks involved in this. This was not up front. And what this is going to do before I forget is this is going to make it so we don't have any more pit stops. And that might be bringing out some more cautions because these guys are going to be going at it. Wow, this starts all the way back in turn 3. Jeremy Osborne pushing Ryan Baste for the Clutch Gaming team here. Jeremy Osborne might be a Team PGR driver and just wasn't trying to do anything. Was trying to help him out. Unfortunately, hooks him, gets him down in the grass. And actually, Ryan Baste does a heck of a job saving it. Jeremy Osborne, on the other hand, he's going to have some troubles back here. Not really sure what that was. I think he just finds himself... Might have got a little loose when he went up the hill and kind of, hold on, let's take a different view of it here. Does he get a little help? No, he just gets high, trying to keep it out of the wall, makes some contact with the wall, and then when he comes back down, he gets into Mark Vondell, who takes a big hit. Wow, the 17 almost up and over. Jeremy Osborne, another big hit into the inside wall. But I think Mark Vondell gets the worst of this. The 17 certainly gets a pretty good chunk of it as well. Bobby Forbes, that is, who has not had a very good night so far. So let's back this up a little bit more. And, you know... That's a shame, too. Mark Vondell, just everybody in general, they did a heck of a job missing it, and then they're all going to get involved. There's the first big hit for Mark Vondell. Does Andrew Santos sneak through it? Just about. Maybe gets a little damage. Not too bad. And as I said, the 17 goes for a pretty wild ride. Bobby Forbes, in fact, let's take a ride on board as he almost caught some airtime. In fact, he did catch some airtime. I meant to say almost went upside down. Here we go. He finds himself upside down. Let's back it up a little more. And he's going to get blindsided here, too. He thinks he's by it, and then boom. Turns that truck right around. And it does bring out your fourth caution here of the night. 20 laps to go. Going to have even less once we go back green. Up front, pit stops underway. This is everybody making sure that they're good to go on fuel. Don't think we're going to see any tires. I just don't think it's worth it at this point. But who's going to win the race out of pit road? That is going to be a big deciding factor. Ooh, maybe a little strategy play here. Looks like Jeremy Osborne wins the race out, but he may be with a different issue. The real race out, what might be for the lead, looks like it's going to go to Garrett Maines, followed by Steve Korsak and company. They continue to battle it out 2 and 3 wide off the pits. Yep, sure enough, Garrett Maines takes the lead off of pit road. Steve Korsak second, John Ellis Jr. third. David Sheets fourth, and it's going to be Zachary Lima currently rounding out your top 5. Let's see if we've got anybody in the Discord here that we can pull in for a quick interview. You know what? Let's go ahead and pull up Zachary Lima because we have not seen him in a while. See if we can't get a word with him. Hey, Zachary, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Affirmative.
Well, man, we haven't got to talk to you up in here in the booth in a while. Remember how dominant you and Steve Korsak have been? Good to see you two back at it. Now, you're starting fifth here. If you can get locked up with Steve here, I think you got a good shot, but how do you kind of play it out here going to the front? Do you look for the third lane, or do you just kind of let it come to you?
You know, either the third or other people go into the third, and then I'll go into the second. You know, wherever the gap is, I'm going. And I'm going to try to get hooked up to Coro. I think Gabe got taken out. He had no more fast repairs, and it was no yellow was thrown. So, you know, I'm trying, man. I took a break, and the trucks are a little different. So I'm just trying to get used to them again, you know.
Absolutely. Well, we know you have a new teammate now. Of course, Cody Nagle's ex-teammate, Gabe Butler, one of your new teammates. But the three of you, so far from what we've seen, is this something, are you guys all planning on running the rest of the season? If so, how do you feel about your chances at it?
You know, I feel great. We got a strong team. You know, like Cody's a good competitor, but he knows what's up. You know.
All right.
Easy.
Well, thanks for giving us a quick word, Zachary. Good luck the rest of the way, and hopefully we're talking to you at the end of this thing.
Affirmative.
Be like a bull, man.
I can't. I'm sorry. Whatever he played there at the end. Oh, man, if we would have kept him in here a second longer, I would have just started losing it. Of course, you know, for anybody that doesn't know here, we got a couple things to talk about. We like to have some fun up here in the broadcast booth. And Cody Nagles and Zachary Lima, they go way back. Of course, I think they're still all good friends, and the amount of sound clips they have of each other is just absolutely phenomenal. And you go on these Discord channels, and these soundboards, I'm telling you, they got some crazy stuff, and that was some of the sound clips, I'm assuming, at least from Cody Nagles. And that's one of the perks, I guess, of having Lima back. I wasn't sure if he was going to play anything in the booth tonight, but it looks like he decided on it. Cody Nagles, on the other hand, we talked about working his way to the front here, but it looks like it doesn't quite work out. It looks like he still finds himself a lap down. We'll see if... I think he's still got a good shot at getting it, but he is going to have to battle Ambrose Knievel, David Drohan, and probably a couple more trucks if he wants to get it back. We'll see what happens. So either way, row one, row two, dominant trucks. Garrett Main, Steve Korsak, they've been up front all night. And how about row two? Also two more dominant trucks have been up front all night. John Ellis Jr. and David Sheets showing a little bit more aggression here tonight, and it's working out well so far. Alejandro says, I got the window update blue screen. That's why I dropped back low. Michael Trisco says, let's go PGR, boys. Your leader is watching. David Tavares says, he's just besting all over the field. All right, we got to settle back down. Had a little fun during the caution, but we're back to the professional action here that's about to get underway. It's going to be 17 laps to go. You better believe we're about to go 3-4 wide. And I don't think we're going to finish this thing off under green, but we are going to find out. If you're Garrett Mains, do you try to get back up top and get in front of Steve Korsak? Or do you feel like you're in the catbird seat right in front of your teammate? Green flag is back in the air. 17 laps to go at Talladega. Good start here from Steve Korsak. David Sheets going to try to push him clear if he can. And if you're Steve Korsak as well, what do you try to do here? Do you stay up top or do you try to drop down low if you get clear? And we know that the top line is certainly the place to be at the end, especially at Talladega. Daytona a little different. And we saw it at the end of stage one. Once guys felt like we were in that range, maybe 5 to go or so, they jumped up top, and at that point it was stay to the top, and the only line that was going to pass you was the lane that was above you. But man, big push by David Sheets. He got Steve Korsak cleared. Steve looks like he chose not to take it. And I think David thought about jumping to the outside, but I think he pretty quickly realized he was not going to get help from Jeff Merck. Sean Hill behind Jeff Merck knows he's going to stick with him. But Daniel Eberhardt, still keep an eye on him. He is up inside the top 10 now. He's got Mike Davenport pushing. That might be the first truck that we see take it 3 wide here with 16 laps to go. Everybody still staying patient. Still got some at the back, too, that I think are maybe trying to play that they think we're going to get another big wreck, and that's going to include Christopher McCall, Chad Ross, and Jeremy Osborne. Ambrose Knievel, Mark Von Dell, they're racing in that pack. And Cody Nagles, he's continuing to fight for that lucky dog. That is one of the guys he's fighting with, Ambrose Knievel, that is. Steve Korsak now going to do a little controlling of the lanes. He drops back down to the bottom, going to give David Sheets a little breath of fresh air. And these trucks get hot real quick. And, you know, I know at this point in money racing, we got so many different teams that you don't really work with too many other guys unless it's just put in that position. But David Sheets, he's not going to forget that Steve Korsek dropped down and got him a little fresh air instead of sticking up there and putting him in an awkward position. But Jeff Merck is going to be the one to put him in an awkward position, takes him 3 wide up top. Garrett Maines down to the middle. John Ellis Jr. follows. That puts the 2 Dale Cup teammates right back into the catbird seat on the bottom. You got Steve Korsek leading the bottom with Zachary Lima in tow. And if you're Garrett Maines, you got a choice here to make. If he drops low, he might be able to cut off that duo, but he can't quite do it in time. Down the backstretch they go. Jeff Merck and Sean Hill, they're looking to get the outside line going. Going to be 14 laps to go here. We do need to take another quick break as I need to get a quick drink of water, but we're going to stay side by side so you don't miss the action. Here we go. Front, now we're going to see a little 4-wide action.
Crazy out of the triangle.
Oh, he gets over it into the lead under record.
3 by 3 entering 4.
3 2. At the flag stand, side by side, it's going to be Jason Maines winning it at Talladega. And we're going to bring it back from the side-by-side break earlier because the racing's just too good to miss. Daniel Eberhard has taken the lead on the inside. Saw some big moves while we were side-by-side, and he has found himself in the lead on the bottom. In the middle, Garrett Maines still staying strong. Jeff Merck up top. He's got his 3 teammates all in a row. Cody Nagels, as much as he wants that lap back, he knows he's got to try to help his teammates. One of the perks of splitting money, get as many up front as you can. Now Daniel Eberhard moves back up to the middle. Garrett Maines gives him another push, and at some point, I got to think one of these guys are thinking about making it 4 wide. The question is just going to be who. Laps winding down. Once we hit 10 to go, desperation time. Well, I mean, at this point, it looks like it's pretty much already set in. Alejandro's screen froze big time, still frozen. And if anybody else watching can let me know if that is just on potentially his end or if it's frozen for everybody, we'll try to get that sorted out. Steve Korsek found his way back to lead in the middle. We'll see if he decides to drop low. And you know, it seems like that bottom line has just not been the lane to be in. It works for maybe a lap or so, but then all of a sudden it fades back. However, this time, man, what a power move that they just pulled on Steve Korsek. He did not expect that, but Sean Hill drops down. Now you can see Garrett Maines, John Ellis Jr. trying to make their way back up. That was well executed. We got one around on the back. Somebody's about to take a big hit into the inside wall. Couldn't tell who it was. It was a huge hit, unless they saved it. No way. Was that? Might have been J.R. Miller. Couldn't tell. I think it might have been. Yep, sure enough, it was the 78 of J.R. Miller, and doesn't look like he was able to save that one, unfortunately. This is looking like pretty hard contact. Let's back it up a bit. Man, left front of that thing is absolutely destroyed, and front end came off. Yeah, this is going to be one of those instances nowhere he's going to be able to go. Big hit. Destroys the front end. Tough break for J.R. Miller, but caution does not fly, and he's going to have to limp that thing back down to the pits. Meanwhile, up front, 3 wide, but you can tell the blocks are getting more and more aggressive. Garrett Maines tried to put it in there, but he couldn't quite make it stick. So now Daniel Eberhard and Zachary Lima are going to take full advantage of it. They both move up on top of the one truck. Steve Korsek needs to get a run before Garrett Maines has a chance to jump back up top with that 3-truck trio. Making a lot of moves. We got a couple more trucks off. Logan York and John Mullihan, they're going to blend back on behind this 3-wide action. Going to be coming to 10 laps to go this time. J.R. Miller looks like he may have had another issue. It looks like his night might be over. Zachary Lima all by himself on the bottom. Steve Korsek in the top line is not going to be able to come down to assist. You got Daniel Eberhard in the middle, and that is pretty much the 2 lines that exist. Man, the bottom continues to not work. It seems like if you go to the bottom, sooner or later you get shuffled to the back. The only real passing that we've seen has either been going up to the middle or up to the top. Unless, of course, you're Garrett Maines, who has managed to lead his teammates. They continue to pull this move. This is something different. I have not seen this in a while. You see he lines it up, and when that bottom line fades, he tries to drag. Well, he does drag him and John Ellis Jr., and he tries to get them both clear. But now they're going to split. Garrett Maines, John Ellis Jr. to the bottom, tries to get up with his teammate Daniel Eberhardt's trying to prevent that. Sean Hill also is going to dive down to the bottom. He's got his teammate Jeff Merck behind him. Third lane's going to have a chance here to really get cranked back up and going as they go by the lap truck of Danny Barnes. Sean Hill back to the bottom. He wants a chance at getting the lead. 2x2, that third lane is trying to get it back together. Man, Daniel Eberhardt is throwing some haymakers in terms of the blocking here. This is what this new truck package has allowed. Steve Korsak back to the top. Watch for Cody Nagels to think about jumping out. He doesn't. And that's going to allow Jeff Merck to only have to worry about blocking Steve Korsak if he chooses. But I think he sticks to the middle at this point. 9 laps to go. All bets are off. At this point, it is block or go to the back. And Daniel Eberhardt, it's funny that we talked about earlier, maybe a little bit of a rough night, but it did not take him long to get to the front. He's one of the most aggressive guys in here, and he's not afraid to show it or let you know about it. But that's what it takes to win, and he's got a great shot at winning here tonight. Of course, the payouts are good, and good chance to move up in points. Man, Cody Nagels locks onto his teammate there mid-corner. Almost ended poorly as Jeff Merck almost got down into Daniel Eberhardt's right front, but they still hang on. Back to 3-wide action, but you can see up top with only 2 trucks. Steve Korsak, he's just not going to be able to make it work for much longer. Him and Zachary Lima continuing to push. They need a little bit more help, but I'm surprised that nobody else has found their way up top just yet. Justin Carruthers says this package feels, or the bottom feels slow with this package. Absolutely, it indeed does. But how about it up front? 2 NBG teammates. Now this is Cody Nagels trying to get that lap back, and as it stands right now, he certainly would be because he is back on the lead lap at this point. But he would not want to get involved in this caution. If nothing else, if the wreck happens behind him, he gets the lucky dog, he'd be in prime position. But now Steve Korsak looks like they're going to pick up David Sheets and one of his teammates. I think that's John Ward in the 92 truck. This is going to add 5 trucks to that top line, but Garrett Maines, you see, jumps in front of him. And here we go. The third lane's going to get some momentum going. It'll be interesting to see here. Does Daniel Eberhardt try to work his way back to the middle or top? I think that inside might be on the verge of fading, but they got some strong pushers, including Sean Hill, who is the lead pusher on that inside line. Ken McCall Jr. just behind him. They're going to get a little disorganized, though, down to turn around, wrecking out back. This is going to draw the caution for sure, and sure enough, there it is. The 92 of John Ward goes for a slide down as we enter turn 1. I think everybody else escapes without incident. Oh boy, going to be a 3 or 4 lap shootout to decide this thing, and it is about to be crazy. 5th caution of the night. And I think this one's going to happen more towards the back, and of course we noted John Ward getting involved. In fact, looks like a couple of his teammates are going to get involved in this one as well. And, oh, at that point, there's already contact. That's Ryan Baste in the 73. Was this... See if he's coming up here. John Mullihan coming up or Ryan Baste coming down. And it looks like... Yeah, it looks like John Mullihan kind of comes up from that view. Let's go to the chopper. Not sure if Ryan Baste had been working his way down at all. It didn't look like it, again, from that initial view. Take a second glance. And it looks like, yeah, it looks like John Mullihan mostly coming up, although Ryan Baste was going down. Kind of actually more like half and half, kind of a racing deal, if you will. And once they get hooked together, John Mullihan, Ryan Baste go for a pretty hard hit into the outside wall. They're going to get the worst damage, and John Ward gets tagged as he goes around. And looks like that is going to be it for all the contact. I believe that might have been Matt Martin who spun out John Ward there, but that was just everybody kind of involved in the wreck at the time. Everybody trying to avoid it. Mad dash, everybody trying to miss the wreck. And everybody did a pretty good job that time. Definitely not as big a wreck as what we've seen so far here tonight. You take another look there from the restart cam. Mark Vondell does a heck of a job holding on to the 59 truck. Same for the 22 of Brandon Broadfoot, as well as a couple other guys. And we haven't talked about Brandon Broadfoot here tonight. Let's give this guy a shout out. Made the championship race last week. And David Drohan, of course, doing good so far as well here at the start of the season. But there he is, Brandon Broadfoot. Made the championship race, had a tough break last season. But trying to get off to a good start. Not a great race for him so far, but again, he's got time. We'll see what he can do by the end of this thing. Not going to have a lot of time to do so, though, at this point. If you're in the top 10, you got a good shot. And, man, wouldn't you know it, Cody Nagels, I think he's going to catch another tough break. Looks like he might be just behind Garrett Maines, and that might prevent him from getting the lucky dog. However, it's going to depend here. If he didn't have any contact, of course, he would get the lucky dog, but sometimes you got to wonder with the pushing how that's all going to work out. We'll find out right here. And, oh, man, that looks like a tough break. Looks like it's not going to go to Cody Nagels. The driver that's been working the hardest to get it, maybe doing the best job of getting up there to get it, just keeps catching these tough breaks. And, yet again, he's not going to get it this time. So you got Garrett Maines leading the way, Jeff Merck second, Daniel Eberhardt in third, Steve Korsak fourth, and Sean Hill Currently rounding out your top 5. Now, we made note of it earlier. You saw Bryce hop in the chat, but I want to make one more note of it for everybody that's just kind of hopped in. Bryce got the email today. Of course, he is the owner of the channel. It said, you have been approved. I believe it was something like along the lines. Basically, Ghost Racing Network has been approved to apply for the YouTube Partnership Program, which is phase 1 of basically monetizing the videos. And assuming that the application gets approved, that will add features to Ghost Racing Network such as Super Chat, Super Thanks. And some of those features include where you can make live donations in chat. And if you're ever interested in that, you can do that. And then also, one of the big things is that there will now be a special membership that you can join for Ghost Racing Network. And of course, we would be able to make certain perks that you would only get by joining that membership. And still don't have a name for it. Could be anything along the lines of, heck, I don't know. Again, we haven't thought of one yet. Maybe Ghost Crew or Ghost Club, or something that me and Bryce can come up and think of. But gonna have exclusive perks. You might find yourself with exclusive rewards. We'll have to see, but we're very excited about it, and we hope you all are too. Can't thank you guys enough for all the support and showing, and hoping for another good season here of Tuesday Night Thunder. Again, more stuff to set up here for the custom overlay that we should have straightened out, if not by next week, by the week after, and that's just simply because we have so many trucks we couldn't quite get them all in here tonight. But let's see if we can get another word with somebody that's sitting here in the Discord. Let's see if we can get a quick word here with Sean Hill, one of his teammates running up here. Of course, Jeff Merck up here as well. Let's see what his plan is to get back up there to his teammate and get linked up and have a shot at winning this thing. Hey, Alex, this is Austin up the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah.
Well, man, it's been a pretty wild race here to kick off race 3. Got a little damage in the left side door. Nothing too bad here. But talking about the finish of this thing, what's the name of the game here? Do you have to get to the top, or do you try to stick to the bottom?
I don't know. I have damage. It's not looking too good, but I'll try to get up with Merc if I can. I don't know what we can do here. Damage doesn't seem to be affecting us too bad, but we might be able to pull something out here.
Well, we certainly don't see any damage on the front. What we do see is that nice looking Ghost Racing Network. But anyway, getting back on task here. Speaking of if you can get up to Jeff Merck, we've seen Cody Nagels, as it looks like maybe getting his lap back right here. You three have still been working together despite all the treachery that we've went through this race. And at this point, if you can get up to the back bumper of Jeff Merck, do you just stick to him, or do you still try to go out at the end and maybe get a win for yourself?
If I pull out, I'm parachuting to the back. I'll try to get with him, but if I can't, wish him luck.
All right, well, we'll be wishing you luck the rest of the way. See if you can't get that thing done. Good luck.
Yep, thank you.
And Alex Hill being, well, honestly, pretty brutally honest is, man, they dragged him back to his Discord pretty quick. All right, so we got the one to go signal. It is going to be 3 laps to go. If we can make it to the white flag, this thing will be official. Nash Bravilla says, congrats, guys. We certainly appreciate it, Nash. Glad to see you in here tonight. Watch the broadcast as well. Meant to share the link in a couple of Garrett Maines' stream. I know a lot of those guys like to watch it from the broadcast view. Forgot it tonight. Next place we head, though, didn't get time for the announcements, is going to be to the PGR Intimidator Superspeedway Series on Thursday. Of course, Matthew Baker returns. Don't miss out on it. Going to be another good showing and a good broadcast, hopefully, for sure. Well, Garrett Maines always finds his way to the front, doesn't he? Started out towards the back. Took him the whole, not even the whole race, actually. Only about half the race to find his way to the front. Been around ever since, but Daniel Eberhardt, you know he's hungry. You know he wants a win. And he is going to be doing everything in his power to get one right here. All right, 3 laps to go. Who is going to win it? Garrett Maines with a pretty good start. Daniel Eberhardt has already locked onto his bumper, but the outside is going to hang pretty strong here. Steve Korsak and Jeff Merck, and at this point, I think if you're Jeff Merck, I don't see him dropping down to the inside line, but we'll have to see what he chooses. You know that the winning move is probably going to be in that middle or outside line. 3 wide isn't going to take too long to get either here. Dylan Jones, he's got a chance if he wants to think about it. No move yet from that 11 truck. And now we're going to see John Ellis Jr. tuck out of line. Now John Ellis Jr. is going to get some help from his teammate, Dylan Jones. Ken McCall Jr. couldn't quite fit in that gap. Those 2 trucks, though, they're not going to be able to hold on. And in fact, Ken McCall Jr. gets clear. Watch to see the 03 jump up. Sure enough, he does. He's trying a little squeeze play here on the 8 of John Ellis Jr. But up front, Garrett Maines still making it work on the inside. Jeff Merck on the outside. Ken McCall Jr. is going to get turned into the outside wall. This is going to bring out the caution, and we're headed to overtime. Jeremy Osborne gets involved. Looks like everybody else is going to try to sneak by it. They do. The 03 with pretty heavy front end damage. Not sure if he had already had to use his fast repair earlier or not. Take a look at it here. We saw it from the initial view. And is this just going to be... There's Ken McCall Jr. Ooh, not sure if he was drifting up a little bit or if John Ellis Jr. was drifting down or if there was neck. We'll take a look from the chopper view. Once he gets turned to that outside wall, big hit, all 4 tires off the ground, spins a couple times, and then Jeremy Osborne, who was tucked behind Brandon Broadfoot, just nowhere to go, couldn't see anything. Same deal for Ryan Baste. Those guys get collected, and Jeremy Osborne looks like he might have actually got the worst of it. Front end completely ripped off. He's got right front suspension damage and smoke coming out of the hood. I believe he may have already had to use a fast repair tonight as well, so this might bring his night to an end. Let's take a look. Here's from the chopper view. And watch Ken McCall Jr. here. Ooh, looks like maybe just drifting up ever so slightly. And that's hard to say on whether or not he was trying to make a move. I almost don't think he was. I think he just slightly drifts here. Does John Ellis Jr. come down is the question. John maybe coming down a little bit, but of course Ken also coming up a little bit. And once they get together, bad spot to make contact, and then nothing he can do from there. And there's... You see the 41 of Jeremy Osborne, and I've said it before, that almost catches you off guard as a driver. In fact, let's ride on board with him. You don't really expect anything. The caution wasn't out at the time, so he's just sitting there drafting off the 22 of Brandon Broadfoot. All of a sudden, 22 turns left, and there's just nowhere to go. Here we go. And you actually maybe sees it there, but he's too busy focusing on the back bumper. Actually, he did see the smoke, but you might have thought that they were going to be able to get through it if he stuck close. Unfortunately, didn't get to. Take one more final view of it here if we can. From pit lane 3, here we go. Let's go back live. Ken McCall Jr. sits on pit road, but it looks like he did have a fast pair. Going to get a clean truck and have another shot at it. No change for the lead. Garrett Maines still leads here. It's going to be our first overtime attempt. Jeff Merck second. Daniel Eberhardt third. Steve Korsak fourth, and Sean Hill still rounds out your top 5. We don't really have any more drivers necessarily to interview. See if we can get a quick word with your owner and maybe give a little talk here on what we got planned for the rest of the season here. Hey Ron, you got a copy? This is Austin from the booth.
Yeah, man, I got you.
Well, I know you're doing race control from what it looks like here tonight. You're real busy, but we've already talked to a couple drivers. We figured might as well talk to the owner here tonight about what kind of to expect here throughout the rest of the season. We know some things were changed up. Tell us about it.
Well, we went to the trucks just for 4 races because we had a lot of. Let me turn this chat down a minute. Everybody's chatting. Yeah, we had the last couple of races with the Xfinity cars were really really rough. So we decided to go to the trucks just to try to clean it up. I can't really say that it's worked. It's still been a little bit of a dirty race, but it's been some really good racing though. It's been some really good racing tonight. So that's the biggest thing. Changed a little bit with the points, not a whole lot, but we changed a little bit with the points.
One
I'm sorry, man, they're talking like crazy on here.
No problem up here. We're just sitting here. Figured we might as well talk to the owner for a little bit while we run under caution here, getting ready for overtime. But, the other thing I want to ask you here is we know that those stage breaks, we certainly see guys racing really aggressive for them, and we're not 100% sure. Is there some extra points on the line or any money on the line for those?
No money, but I did go to top 5 in points now. So you get 5 points for winning the stage, 4 points for second, 3 points for third, so forth. So top five now. You get points rather than just a stage winner.
And the last thing I want to ask you about is only 3rd race of the season here, and we are already seeing almost double the size of the field that we saw for some of the races last season. Man, it's like a light switch. What was the difference?
Man, I don't know. I think the word just got out from last season. Everybody had a lot of fun. So brought in some extra drivers, some new drivers. It's been a real good turnout, real stout field.
All right, well, thanks for getting a quick word with us. We know you're busy up in race control, so we'll let you get back to it.
Yeah. All right, man. Talk to you later.
Ron Morris Jr., series owner and double duty in as race control tonight. How about it? And that first row, very aggressive, but that second row, even more aggressive. However, Steve Korsak he's been on a little bit more of the conservative side lately, but I think that changes tonight, and I think the main reason that does change is because he's got his teammate behind him. Keep an eye on Zachary Lima. If Steve Korsick jumps out, the 4 is going to follow. Just behind them is the 06 of Andrew Zonto. If that happened, Jeff Merck might be a sitting duck, but Sean Hill, that might open the door as well for him to jump to the outside and get linked up with his teammate. Daniel Eberhardt, on the other hand, if he gets clear, he wants to jump to the top. So, moral of the story is we got a very aggressive line here, and this is going to be interesting as Jeff Merck gives a little bit more to the pace car than maybe the pace car was expecting. You got to be careful there. You don't want to get penalized by the NASCAR officials. All right. We talked about it first overtime. If we make it to the white flag, it's going to be official. If we can't, we'll rack them up and try this thing again. And, I know the racing, we've had quite a few cautions here tonight. Of course, 6 cautions a night, but I think things are going to get cleaned up as the season goes on. I think guys are still getting a feel for each other. And we're about to see what's going to go on here. Cody Nagels, by the way, did get his lap back. It'd be quite a feat, but he's certainly still got a chance. We've seen him do crazier things. Maybe he finds way back to the front, especially if we were to get another caution or 2. Riding on board here with the flag stand for this one. He's got the green flag in the air. He's ready to get back to it. Overtime number 1 is underway here at Talladega. Another pretty even start from the first 2 rows. Look like Garrett Maines maybe just gets a nose out ahead, but now Jeff Merck's fighting back. Sean Hill certainly trying to fight his way to the outside, but right now all he can do is tuck in line and push. So you got a 3-truck tandem on the inside and the outside here. We'll see, does Jeff Merck have enough momentum to maybe get in front of Garrett Maines? And we're going to keep it on this view right here because that's where it really shows the momentum. There goes Jeff Merck. Garrett Maines might have to do a little side drafting. Will it be enough? Can we make it to the white flag? That's the next question of mine. And sure enough, Jeff Merck does get clear. Didn't think he would drop low, but he's going to slam the door on Garrett Maines. Might have to do a little blocking here. Steve Korsick is trying to get up there, but he just doesn't have the push he needs. If Daniel Eberhardt gets clear, he might have a shot at winning this thing. He's trying to jump up top, but Zachary Lima is going to get Steve Korsick back in position. Here we go through the travel, coming to the white flag. It is going to be one more time around Talladega. John Ellis Jr. and Andrew Zonto make a little contact. They both save it as they go 3 wide to sort it out. John Ellis Jr. is going to get 2 of his teammates. That's Dylan Jones and Jason Maines. They're going to get locked up as they get ready for a backstretch and then a set of short chutes to decide the winner of this thing. Daniel Eberhardt still nowhere to go at this point. I think he might be locked on pushing. Oh, maybe a little bit too much of a push. Almost gets Jeff Merck turned, but he holds on to live another day. Side by side, but up front, all Garrett Maines and Steve Korsick. Korsick might have a shot at winning this thing, but now they fight back. Garrett Maines jumps low. Steve Korsick follows. Now Garrett Maines is going to get turned. The whole pack behind is going to get involved, but up front, 4, almost 5 wide. They're still beating and banging. Daniel Eberhardt comes up. Him and Jeff Merck get together. It's going to be a 3-truck shootout to win this thing. Steve Korsick in front, but it's not over yet. John Ellis Jr. back to the bottom. Steve Korsick throws 1 block. Does he get 2? He does. At the line, they wreck out back, but Steve Korsick wins race 3 at Talladega. Crazy last lap is going to match the rest of the agenda from what we have seen tonight. But Steve Korsick gets it done. John Ellis Jr. finishes 2nd, and rounding out your podium top 3 tonight, John Ward out of nowhere on the last couple laps. Man, let's go back, and we need to back this up before everybody backs out the broadcast here tonight because there was just too many things that went on here towards the end. Let's start with the white flag, and let's go up front here. We're going to have a couple different incidents. First incident here isn't going to happen until down in turn 3. These guys had kept it clean for a little while, and Daniel Eberhardt was pushing with all he had. And they looked pretty clean at this point. 2 wide. You can see John Ellis Jr. gearing up for that run up top. Christopher McCall was doing a little bit of side drafting. Now this is where things are really going to get a little interesting here. Daniel Eberhardt is going to have to push Jeff Merck with all he's got. Got him a little wobbly. Now watch here as we get down to turn 3. Garrett Maines, he sees the run coming from the bottom. He's going to slam the door. Looks like he makes the move in time. But as quick as he shoots down, Steve Korsick couldn't quite react in time to him shooting down. Almost thought it was just a drift. Follows him down. So he gets into Jeff Merck, and when he does so, that sends Jeff Merck down below the apron. And when Merck comes back up, he just kind of clips Garrett there. Nothing he could really do. And that sends Merck up into Steve Korsick, who does a heck of a job saving it. And there's a sliding Garrett Maines. Sean Hill T-bones him in the passenger side. Nowhere he can go. They're all going to get collected behind it. And then up front, we're going to have another wreck here. There are 4 wide at this point. Going to be some contact there. Daniel Eberhardt and Jeff Merck get together. And they're actually going to make a little more contact here. They're still trying to sort it out. Meanwhile, you see those 3 trucks up top trying to make it work. And Daniel Eberhardt, not sure if he was still trying to hang on to it or what, but just kind of yeets it right back up the track. Finishes his and Jeff Merck's chances off of maybe going for a win in this thing. And then there's the block. Really nice block by Steve Korsak. Holds on, and then Zachary Lima and Dylan Jones, they get tangled up behind, racing for third. And that's going to put those two back. Dylan Jones finishes fifth. Zachary Lima sixth, just outside the money. And there's two onboards that I really want to ride on board here. And the first one is going to be John Ward on this last, I guess this last half a lap, if you will, because he had to go through quite a bit of trucks to find his way back up to third. But somehow, some way he did it, and it's got to be exciting. Here we go. Man, you talk about the seas parting ways. They parted more than just a couple times. And then right here, does David Sheets maybe get collected in this incident? It looks like, oh, he does. He tries to commit high. Oh, my goodness. Fast hands by John Ward. Are you kidding me? All right, man. And let's go back and take it on board. Daniel Eberhardt and Jeff Merck out of 4. This was the 4-wide incident. It looked like it may have ended in a little bit. I think Daniel Eberhardt, assuming he was just trying to hold on to it here. But 4 wide, it's a hard thing to do here, and it didn't work out so well. Let's go back to this contact here between the 60 and the 90. And they bumped a couple times before they finally ended up finishing each other off. Sean Hill actually went for a pretty wild ride. Looks like he might have got upside down. And there's the contact. There's a little more contact. And unfortunately, they just get together and finishes each other off. From that view, it certainly didn't look like Daniel Eberhardt trying to do anything egregious. Just looked like two guys trying to make it work. I'm not sure if Eberhardt maybe knew they were 4 wide or not, and Jeff was still trying to gather it up as well. So just kind of one of them deals, if you will. But Steve Korsak getting it done, and let's go and see if they did a little rollback action here on the burnout. And we are going to go get your top 3, so we'll be right back. Stick with us. All right, back live at Talladega Superspeedway, and as Steve Korsak celebrates, start with third place finisher John Ward. John, you got a copy?
Yes, I got you, Austin.
Well, we took a look back at your onboard on that last lap. Absolutely crazy. How else do you describe it?
Oh, man, crazy. Yeah, man, I think I was 18th on that green-white checkered, and I think I drove through 3 accidents there. I just kept my foot in. I had a good run. I was pushing Brad Barfoot pretty good there, and the lanes kept opening, and I kept going forward. So, and then them started wrecking there, and I just kept getting through it and gave my teammate a push at the end, and damn, they didn't wreck again. So I got up to third from 18th, and I think that was a pretty damn good job.
Certainly was, to say the least. Well, based off the kind of characteristic, the kind of way this race went, with a lot of cautions, a lot of wrecks, and track position being so key, how do you kind of change up your approach for the rest of the season from here?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to try to, from now on, stay up front and try to get good track position and qualify. But yeah, these races, they're tough. You don't know when the yellow is going to come out. I thought it was maybe stay because it was good in the middle of the race. We went through a good long run. So you never know. You never do. I mean, so you just got to position yourself. I didn't think I had a chance at all, to tell you the truth.
Well, you certainly managed to get yourself back on the podium very impressively at the end there on the last lap. Congratulations. Before we let you go, though, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out tonight?
Shout out Ghost Racing Network. You guys always do a good job. And McCullough Motorsports, my teammates, they always help me out and do a good job. And just everybody watching, thank you for the opportunity.
All right. Well, thank you for talking to us, and we'll see you next week.
Got it.
Let's pull up second place finisher, John Ellis Jr. John, you got a copy?
I got you.
Well, man, so close, but just not quite enough. Overall, though, talk about that last lap and coming to the trial.
It was wild, man. I made a mistake. The caution before, I went to Kenny's outside, and it looked like he came up a little bit, and I came down to kind of get to him and end up turning him. So I feel bad for that one, but we were able to recover. Had a chance to win it, and everything got pretty crazy going into 3 and 4 up front. We stayed clean and just didn't make the right move come to the line. I tried to go low under Korzik, and I should have tried to go to his outside with Dylan behind me, but he did everything he could. It was textbook on Korzik's part to keep me behind him, so can't complain about another second place finish, but wish it was first for the second week in a row.
Well, I was going to say, it's certainly going to help your point standings in the sense of you're already leading. I don't see that lead going anywhere after this race. Now, another thing that we noticed was you and Garrett Maines, I know you had a lot of teammates, but you and Garrett specifically were working really well together tonight. And we saw a couple of interesting moves where you two would kind of tandem up when the bottom line faded out, drop to the bottom, and get both of you clear before the exit of the corner. How'd you guys do that?
It's all about temps once you're running like that for a while. We pay attention to who's hot, and we know we can try and cool down and get a run. Anytime a line breaks apart, we try and take advantage of it, and it works a lot. We one time it didn't work for us, and we ended up getting shuffled back, but we were able to recover pretty well. So got lucky on that part. But man, these trucks are fun with this draft package. I mean, it's easy to drive, but it's hard to be good with them.
Well, good run tonight. Congratulations on the second place finish. Before we let you go, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Just my teammates, like you mentioned. Me and Garrett worked well all night. Jason and Dylan were both up there. Ron for putting this on. It's always a great Tuesday night. And then the broadcast, you guys do a great job. I always like going back and watching them, especially when I finish good.
Well, that certainly makes it better. Hey, thanks for talking to us, and one more congrats on that second place finish.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And now that's going to bring us to tonight's winner, Steve Korsak. How about him here? Hey, Steve, this is Austin up in the booth. Oh, let me try him again here. Hey, Steve, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, Dale Cup returns to victory lane here tonight in race 3. Looked like you and Zachary Lima might have both been able to get in the top 3. But let's talk about you. You get the win here tonight. Overall, crazy race. Tell us a little bit about it.
So I had to burn my fast repair before lap 10. So I thought I was done, and I was just trying to hang out at the front and hope for the best. And I just got lucky and got through everything and was able to stay up there. And the racing was really aggressive the whole time. It was a lot of fun.
Well, one thing I feel like I always notice as a driver is when there's that big wreck and you kind of look in your mirror and you know it's only a race between maybe you and a few more trucks, the mindset all of a sudden changes. It's like a light switch. What was going on there after you saw the big wreck and you knew that you only had 3 or 4 trucks and you saw John Ellis Jr. gearing up for that move coming to the checkered flag?
I just knew that I had the block, and that was all I could do. And I got to thank Seabass. Shout out to you if you're watching, because I learned how to block like that from him, because he does it to me all the time.
All right. Well, hey, congrats on the win tonight. Going to help you out in the point standing as well. Before we let you go, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out tonight?
Yeah, I'm going to give a shout out to Dale Cup and Ron Morris, the teammates Gabe Butler and Zachary Lima, and Ghost Racing Network for the broadcast. I always watch it back after. And it was my birthday today, so it's a nice little present.
Well, happy birthday. Wish you would have told me sooner, but hey, what better way to put it? Go smoke some burnouts in Victory Lane, little birthday cake. Congrats on the win here tonight, Steve.
Thanks, man.
All right. Hey, there you go. What better way to celebrate your birthday, get a win? Dale Cup returns to Victory Lane here tonight. Overall, good race. Talk about your finishing results. We just talked to your top three. How about coming in fourth position, though? It's going to be David Sheets, Dylan Jones in sixth, Zachary Lima seventh. Dylan Jones fifth. David Sheets with 4, Zachary Lima 6, Brandon Broadfoot in 7th. Good recovery for him. Christopher McCall 8th, Ken McCall Jr. in 9th. Chad Ross going to be rounding out your top 10. 11th, Logan York, Garrett Maines in 12th. Man, excuse me, my eyes have been deceiving me tonight. Andrew Zonto 11th, Logan York 12th, Garrett Maines 13th, Mark Vondell 14th, Jason Maines 15th, Cody Nichols in 16th, Matt Martin in 17th. Rounding out in 18th position tonight is going to be Brock Westmoreland 19th, Mike Davenport top 20. Last driver in, it's going to be Ryan Baste. Jeff Merck, 21st. Daniel Eberhardt, 22nd. Sean Hill, 23rd. John Mullahan, 24th. David Drohan, 25th. It's going to be Bobby Forbes in 26th. 27th, Danny Barnes, 28th. Jeremy Osborne, Alejandro Montes Diaca in 29th. Ambrose Kniebel, 30th. J.R. Miller, 31st. Gabe Butler in 32nd. And Ron Morris Jr., who, of course, did not race tonight. So a 32-truck field. You know, we had some things that the field needs to work out. I think these guys will have it a little bit more together next week, and we're going to have the broadcast a little bit more together. Again, first week back, still getting used to certain things, and the main thing was getting all the things set up. Should have it hopefully by next week, and if not, we will certainly have it by the week after. So I do appreciate everybody joining in. I hope you enjoyed it, and until next week, we'll see you later. Have a good one.